voice echoed over Blake's earpiece. "In pursuit," he answered, giving chase. Step after step, he rushed across the wet foliage of fallen leaves and dry grass at his feet. Long trees with barren skeletal branches extended high above both sides of him as he caught a glimpse of movement through the moonlit night. The figure in a long hooded sweater ran with a frightened purpose, waving around a pistol as he charged toward the old schoolyard in the distance. Blake slid to one knee, raised the suppressed FAL, and took aim, paces ahead of the runner through a clear opening of the trees. As the runner approached his scope, he fired 2 shots, and the man fell. Blake briefly looked at the rifle and wondered where Job got this old NATO nonsense. Then again, the weapon was accurate. "Runner is down," Blake said, looking up at the small black drone hovering above them. A small black figure with what appeared to be a cape was fastened to the machine.
"Alpha, regroup on my position,"
Job ordered over the radio. "On my way," Blake answered. Blake was a tall white man and possessed a sturdy, lean frame that filled the white tank top he wore under the survival vest. His clean-shaven head was covered by a faded green bandana. For years, he had been the one barking orders to all the snake-eaters that served under him. Seeing one of his very own stepping up to the mantle gave him the warm and fuzzies. Blake joined the others in Alpha near the bodies of 3 men and 1 woman wearing faded and stained second-hand clothes. "Check your gear," Job ordered as he reloaded his SCAR rifle. A thick, serrated commando knife was sheathed in his boot, and a Peacemaker revolver rested on his hip. Tamara carried a suppressed SMG with a Beretta 92G and a covert medical pouch kit hanging from her belt, with several smaller pouches fastened to a strap around her leg. Standing near her was Trish, holding her still-sheathed blade as she frowned at the 4 bullet-ridden bodies at their feet. Blake held the FAL in his main hand while his left hand patted down the kukri across his chest, the Glock holstered on his hip, and his beauty, the modified double-barrel shotgun, securely nestled over his shoulder. "Good to go," he said. Job nodded. "Alpha is ready to move. Bravo, remember you stay in the van. Walter is on drone duty, and the rest of you hold put unless we call in for backup. That goes double for you, Cassandra." Job turned back to his team members on Alpha. "We get in, set the charges, and find the children. We only engage if spotted." "Quick and clean," Blake said to Trish. "And quiet," Tamara added. Trish just nodded as she played with her sword hilt with her fingers. "I got point," Job ordered. "Let's do this." A gentle rain poured over Job's head as he crawled with rifle in hand through the moist, crumbling leaves and twigs beneath him. Calm and methodically, he crept closer and closer toward the outer fence of the abandoned school. The rain fell in a relentless, steady rhythm, casting a dreary haze over the desolate landscape. He could feel the cold droplets trickling down the back of his neck, but he didn't flinch. He was too focused on the derelict compound ahead. The abandoned school loomed like a forgotten specter, its windows shattered and its walls covered in creeping vines. Job's keen eyes scanned the perimeter, noting the sagging chain-link fence that barely stood between him and his target. Through the gloom, he could make out the cafeteria, its windows boarded up haphazardly, used to house the new recruits. To the left, the gymnasium's imposing structure loomed. According to Cassandra, that building housed the cult's illicit stockpile. He crept closer, the foliage providing a modicum of cover as he approached the outer fence. His eyes moved to the main office, where a cluster of vagrants wandered aimlessly, lost in a drug-induced stupor. Their movements were sluggish and erratic, like puppets with severed strings. Job's grip tightened on his weapon. "I count 6 in the courtyard, and another 4 outside the gym. All of them look drugged out of their minds. Walter, what do you see?"
"There is one by the cafeteria pacing. Can't tell if he's high too, but I don't see a single guard."
Walter's digitized voice sounded over the comms.
"They're all like zombies."
"Thoughts, anyone?" Job asked the group with him. Tammy crawled close to him with binoculars in hand. "This looks extreme, even for fentanyl. They might not even notice us." "Blake?" Job asked as he watched the group through his ACOG scope. If we kill them, we ensure they are not a threat later, Blake pondered. But if someone else is watching, then they'll quickly notice their drugged-up zombies are out of place. Blake looked at Trish, who was holding a duffel bag with bolt cutters and stacks of C4. Trish shrugged. I don't know. Kill them. Don't kill them. Either way works for me. Walter, Job ordered. Send the drone down and give one of them a nudge. Trish and Tammy, move closer in. If they react, we take them down. I got the two on the left, Blake said, raising his rifle to cover the two unmoving bodies ahead. Trish and Tamara clipped a small hole through the fence and slowly moved closer to the targets. Trish lowered the duffel bag as she drew out her blade. They are in position, Job said over the comms. Walter, it's your turn. The dark black drone silently floated down toward the first of the lumbering vagrants. Its propellers were nothing more than a hum, subdued by the sound of the pouring rain as it hovered closer to a tall, frail man fixated on the wet floor beneath his feet. A man of sound mind would have noticed the drone by this time, even in the darkness. Even more so, they would have noticed the miniature Batman figurine zip-tied to the drone's back as it inched closer and closer to his chest. With an anticlimactic thud, it barely nudged and bounced off his body to no reaction. Move in, Job ordered, as Alpha cautiously entered the schoolyard and slowly moved past the drug-entranced men and women. As the 4 members of Alpha approached the entrance, Job gestured for Blake to take point. He nodded and raised his weapon as he opened the door. The main office exuded a calm emptiness. The ceiling fan above creaked softly as it slowly and rhythmically turned. The dim lighting cast long, eerie shadows across the room of mismatched furniture. In the corner, an old TV flickered with static, its lifeless screen casting an unsettling glow that danced eerily on the walls. A long hallway connected to the main schoolhouse, while a stairwell bore a faded sign guiding up to the old offices. The room was hauntingly still, with the silence broken only by the faint hum of the ceiling fan above. Job pointed at Tamara and Blake and then gestured to the stairwell. He then pointed at Trish and gestured to the long hall ahead. Trish held her blade at the ready as Job swept the area with his rifle as they moved toward the first classroom door. Job nodded to Trish to enter as he covered the hall ahead. He was impressed at how quickly she followed his commands. Perhaps it was the decade-long friendship that hindered his trust in some of the others to follow orders. But in a life-or-death situation, that is why Trish was here, and they were in the van. Now Blake and Tammy, he had been in countless dangerous situations with before. Without a doubt, he felt he wouldn't have survived Afghanistan without their experience and guidance. But even here, in this destitute building, Job had an uneasy feeling about what they might discover. He silently prayed that the missing children would not be in such a place, which rekindled the old trauma that haunted him, his own nightmares that he still struggled with every day and night. His dark reverie was abruptly interrupted by faint movement in the distance. Job froze. There, just past the end of the hall, something shifted. He raised his rifle, breath steady, eyes sharp. Nothing. Only the soft creak of warped wood and the faint hiss of rain through broken windows. Then, another flicker. Someone was here, watching. Job didn't speak, didn't breathe. Kiona, hidden behind him in the dark, didn't growl, didn't move. Job's finger tightened slightly on the trigger as a chill rolled down his spine. They weren't alone.